Hi, I'm Dane Strickland. I live in Owasso, Oklahoma. I'm a beekeeper. I've been keeping bees for about 5 years. I got interested in beekeeping with my kids. Both of them were having respiratory challenges, and the pediatrician suggested dark honey as a method to help with their respiratory problems. That generated a lot of interest for me as to what honeybees are, what they do, how honey is made. And from that interest, I decided I wanted to keep bees. That hobby has grown. At this point, I take care of over 40 beehives. The honeybee is the primary pollinator for food here in the U.S. There were other native pollinators prior to the European honeybee being introduced, but they really did not pollinate very many crops. The National Honey Board estimates that the European honeybee pollinates 28% of the crops here in the U.S. Honey is a great product. It is known to help with arthritis. Many people mix it with cinnamon. It has antibacterial properties, which is used in the medical field for burns. Netherlands, most recently, has prescribed raw honey to be used in people who have had burns to their body that exceed 50%. Honey also pulls moisture out, which prevents bacteria from forming within a wound. And at its peak in the June time frame, a colony will have 50 to 60,000 bees in each one. Typical production for a colony is around 60 to 65 pounds of honey for each production colony. They actually collect the nectar water, which is really thin nectar. It's about 0.5% sugar water. They bring it back and put it in the cells, and then they begin to fan with their wings, and natural evaporation occurs, and it becomes a concentrate. Well, they keep collecting nectar out in the field and bringing it back and collecting more until they aggregate enough that the product has become honey. It's 83% sugar water at that time, or it's not sugar water, but 83% sugar content. When it reaches that point, it will not ferment. Sugar and water at a concentration less than 82% will ferment and become a product called mead.
The beekeeper traditionally uses a smoker to generate a little bit of smoke and puff it into the hive so the bees smell the soot. You're not trying to totally engulf them in smoke. You simply want them to smell it, and instinctively they believe that there's a fire in the area. As a result of that, they'll go and engorge themselves on honey because it believes it will have to abandon the house. Well, this is a lot like after you eat Thanksgiving dinner full and you just kind of want to sit down. And so the smoke has the same effect on the bees, in that it calms them down. It keeps them a little less interested in what you're doing.
So this is called a hive. Each one of these wooden bars is called a frame. This design was built to make it easy on the beekeeper. Now you can see the glistening nectar in here. This is the nectar they've collected, and they are drying it out and dehydrating it to make honey. When it's dehydrated to the right amount so that it will not ferment, the bees put a wax capping across it to seal it off so there's no additional oxygen or moisture that can get to it. As a beekeeper, we scrape these cappings so it'll leak, and then we spin the honey out so that we can actually consume it. So this honey is finished, and this is called 100% capped right here. Bees are very gentle as long as they don't feel threatened. I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions today, is that people feel like bees will chase them and attack them. Bees only do that when they feel threatened or when their home is threatened. Even as a beekeeper, when I go into a hive, if I take my time, I go slow, they don't feel a threat, they remain calm. And that's the way we like to keep bees.